we are actually all on our spiritual journeys together. And if that's not a blessing, I don't know what is. So please introduce yourselves, ladies. Start with Jasmine.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Jasmine. I'm from New Jersey. I live in Connecticut now. I'm a mom. I'm 19. Go to college. I'm a big foodie. I love food. I like trying new things. I'm a traveler, but I like spontaneous things. Kiki, to you.
All right. Hi, I'm Jalexa. I'm a mom. I'm from New Jersey. I love food as well. That's something we all have in common. We're big foodies. Trying new things. I love different cultures. I love traveling and, music and being with my family.
Well, I'm really excited to have you guys here. I know, Jess, you just went to church earlier, so you have some things to talk about. But it's in a right time because today we're talking about our spiritual journey. And unfortunately, this is our second time doing it because the first time we did it, we had some technical difficulties. But if you're a subscriber, you will have access to unedited raw footage, including videos like that. And I can assure you that you will laugh, okay? So today we're talking about spiritual journeys, and I really want to know what you guys believed, or what's your definition of spiritual vulnerability, or being spiritually vulnerable?
It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster of emotions. It's really facing yourself and facing who and what you surround yourself with, because all that affects our spirit as well. Like, what does it bring out of me, stuff like that. So to me, it's spiritual. Yeah, it's just raw, and it's not linear. It's, you have to be very honest with yourself. It's something that's very difficult, but at the end, it's worth it. Like a supernova.
Yeah.
I love it. That's our supernovas are happening this year.
Yes,
I believe that. How about for you, Jasmine?
I feel like, it's kind of, spiritual journey for me is kind of just to have faith, to blindly, to be led by the blind, honestly.
Or spiritual vulnerability. Sorry.
Vulnerability.
Go ahead.
Spiritual vulnerability, just to kind of just have faith in anything, and, all those things that give you worries and anxiety. It's kind of just to depend on, for us, to depend on God, that, He's going to put us where He wants us, and not to, obsess over something that's not happening.
That makes sense. And I actually looked it up. I looked up spiritual vulnerability, and there were a bunch of different definitions, but the one that I like the most is that you're willing to open up without resistance or shyness and face the world, and you're willing to share your heart with others. And I think that's vulnerability in general. And obviously spiritual vulnerability to me is being able to let go of kind of the worldly worries and concerns and fears that you have, and then just believe that you're going to be okay, and whatever higher power or deity or energy or universe vibration, whatever it is, it's that ability to just kind of let go of that anxiety or fear you have about opening up and allowing things to come in. Yes, ma'am.
Me back here. That reminds me of what church was about today. About you basically kind of hit it in the nail on the head when you said, listen to, literally today's topic was, what voice are you listening to, or what voices are you listening to?
I like that.
To your fears, your anxieties, the culture, your family, so we're always getting hit with all these different voices. And I want to share, there's two metaphors. One was from a pastor from Texas named Tony Evans. And he was saying how a boxer, for them to win and everything, they have to listen to the trainer's voice. They literally have to shut everything else out, everybody else out, just listen to the one trainer. So there was a story about a guy who, he got on the airplane. It was 3 pastors. One had his own airplane. He was in the passenger seat. Then there was a third guy in the back. So the guy flying was like, oh my God, when it gets a lot of clouds, I pass out. So the pilot ended up passing out, and it was it got very cloudy and stormy and everything like that. So the guy called on the radio hello. It was his own personal airplane. 3 passengers in the little airplane. It's a small airplane. So the guy was yeah, when it's too cloudy, I guess it gives him whatever, and he passed out. So they called on the radio like, oh, we need help, da da da. So then the guy was like, okay, you need to just listen to me. Listen to me. I have to like freeze all the other, airplanes and airlines and stuff like that to make way. But don't worry about the clouds and the storm on the outside. Just listen to me and you'll be fine. So basically it's like listening to God, right? If you don't listen, if he would not listen to that voice and he would panic, he would have crashed and burned, So it was such a great metaphor. Like today was such a great service. So yeah, we have to learn how to tune out.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because in my spiritual journey this year, I feel like I have, every day, every moment, every second of the day, hour, time, I'm always thinking about something. My mind is always running constantly, like when I'm taking a shower, when I'm cleaning, when I'm reading, when I'm trying to sleep. And I realized this year, as I'm focusing on my spiritual journey, that I really have to tune out all those. For me, the problem is doubt and fear, because I think I'm such a perfectionist, and it's that control thing that we have, especially you, Jasmine, with me and me. It's so hard to not listen to all of those things that are in your head telling you can't do it, or you shouldn't do it, or this is wrong, or that person's deceiving you, or whatever the case is. And it's so hard to tune those things out. And it wasn't until I started this journey that I started to realize that I can let go of a lot of that, even if it's I'm catastrophizing it in my head. Believing in something else, something more, is allowing me to let go of that control, and I don't really need to feel like I have to have control of all that. And I'm just more at peace now that I have been in a really long time. More calm, less angry, less anxious. So, and I know you guys have been there with me through my journey, especially you. Jasmine has been more attentive now as you've gotten older, and now you're in church and you're reading your Bible, and we're all studying it, and it's going to be different for everyone. I just wanted to point it out that if you're watching or listening, this doesn't mean that your spiritual journey has to look like ours. It doesn't mean that your spiritual journey has to do with God or deity or anything like that. It just means something that's touching your soul, and something that has to do with you healing your soul and your spirit. So, and that's really what we're focused on. And do you guys want to kind of give an example of what you consider your spiritual journey to be?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on that. So, I've kind of been ups and downs. Like I've had ups and downs with my spiritual journey. Like when I was younger, we weren't raised in church. My mom isn't, she doesn't read the Bible, and it's like, oh, God this, God that, Jesus this, Jesus that. It's not, where I was not raised that way. And
I just want to say that, sorry, having this wine right now has nothing to do with my spiritual journey.
What journey does it have to do with?
With the bottle.
No, yeah, so I just, I've been up and down I used to go to church, and I always felt like going to church was it was not the place for me. I always felt like I was not supposed to be there.
Why did you feel like that? I cut you off, but I wanted to elaborate.
No, it's okay. I feel like it was certain things, I don't know if it was like the people, there's always like the stereotypical about people who go to church, and it's just kind of like things were being planted in my head, and just being like the circumstances that I was in, it was kind of taking away from like the whole fact of God. And when I would read the Bible, then I didn't understand it. And I think it was also like the people I was surrounded by, they kind of influenced me wrong. It was kind of like, oh yeah, go to church.
So you were feeling, no, you're good. So you were feeling like when your idea of the church and spirituality and religion and what you were taught to believe was anything related to God was kind of built and made up of hypocrisy. And people who would preach, like would talk the talk but not walk the walk.
I had like some highs and lows with it. I used to go to church, and it wasn't really the best place for me to be at that time. I feel like I needed to take more time into going to church, because it was like, you know, the person I was with was like, oh yeah, go to church, this, that, and the third. But I think the church I was going to, you know, you can't just go to any church, you know what I mean? I feel like the foundation I had wasn't a really good foundation. And I was kind of just, stuff was being planted in my head, and I'm just like, okay, they're telling me to do that, let's go do that. You know what I mean? And, you know, now I feel like after I had my son, it's kind of like, you know, it kind of started on a different journey. You know what I mean?
Like you felt like you had to, I feel like when for you, because I know when you had your baby, I feel like, or when you were pregnant, you were changing a lot, and I think you were improving yourself, you were maturing internally, spiritually, and maybe, you know, you were preparing yourself to be a better mom, a better person for your son.
Yeah, and you know, that's another thing too. Like when you came to visit us, you know, you were like talking to Manny about it, and you know, talking about church and stuff like that. And I was always kind of like, you know, like I'll go
when you be, we'll see.
But it's like, yeah, it was never really like, oh yeah, like I want to go to church. But you know, like you said, you know, how do I say it? You know, I did try to be a better person, and especially because of my son, I wanted to break like those generational traumas. And you know, for the thing with the patience and the anger and the controlling, and I just feel like I didn't want him to grow up like that, and I feel like he deserved, you know, a better mom, because you know what I mean. And I feel like just going to church, it teaches you better morals, and believing in that higher power, it does give you a sense of stability. You know what I mean?
That's good. And that's good for you. Also, you're a better person in your relationship, and also Manny's a better person in his relationship with you, and a better dad, because you know, in that way you're connected. And it doesn't matter what a good relationship or the perfect relationship or the perfect spiritual model is supposed to be for any one person or family, but it works for you because you know, you guys feel like you have something kind of guiding you in the right direction. And when you feel like things are going wrong, you have a place to or something to lean towards that can help give you that guidance. For example, for God in church. And you know, when you feel not your best, you can pray on it. And I think that's something that I'm seeing in you, and I'm so proud of you because we're empowering each other in all of this. And how about for you, Jess?
And it's so weird to hear her say, when I have my son, I'm like, you're a little girl.
I was watching the video, and I had just come, I don't know if you remember, Jasmine, I had just gotten to New Jersey, to your old house in Pleasantville, with Grandpa and Penny. And I think I have Penny. But I just gotten there, and you came to the car, and I think you were with Lily, and you came to the car, and you were like, and you were so excited, and I'll show you the video so you can. But you were so little.
There's a scene in there. I'm just, you know.
Is there? Oh my God! I can't wait to. I'm gonna have to put it on here. Like,
I'm gonna push you when she comes. Move.
Hold on.
I'm stronger than both. Yay! You're stepping on the zone now. I'm the little one here. I'm the little one here.
Oh, I love to get out of the car.
Yay.
I can give you a better hug outside of the car.
Okay, guys, move. Hi, Grandpa. Hi, Grandpa. How do you know?
What's in your butt? Saw you dancing.
Huh?
Saw you dancing.
Come on.
Earlier.
Oh!
Grab this.
Yeah. I can't even just get one hug.
Nope. Gotta wait.
Oh, come on.
Let me get.
Come on. I'm the littlest one outside. Jasmine, you're the biggest one. The best the biggest one. No, Grandpa's
Yeah,
the biggest
definitely
one.
I'm the biggest one. Stinky buds. Come here. Come here, Jasmine.
Yay! Yeah, remember
I can
you
reach
said
your
I was
hand.
gonna do that. Yay.
How have you guys been? Good.
Oh,
It's there. So, but it was so cute because it just goes to show you, to me, anytime that I had doubt, and sometimes it makes me emotional because anytime that I had doubt with the kids and with you guys, I can always depend on those pictures and those videos to like know that I did something right. That I did something right. That I felt like, okay, you know, I wasn't all bad. And it's
No,
making
and,
me kind of.
I feel like, no, it's okay. Virtual hug. You know, and I feel like growing up,
Mm-hmm.
how do I say? I feel like a lot of my best memories, like, were with you and were with Kiki. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know, mom was always like working, and you know, I do have a lot of good memories with mom too.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just like, oh, Adi, you want to go to Yvette's house? Oh, let's go to
Yeah.
Yvette's house. And I'll be like, oh,
But we
mom,
were
like,
the ones always doing something. Like, we would take you
Yeah,
guys somewhere,
yeah.
and we were always
Yeah.
active. And that's the thing. It's not like your
Yeah.
mom wasn't anything, but
No,
she,
no, no,
you know,
no.
she had no. But I'm not saying that you were saying. But I'm wondering, like, me and your mom, although we're
Mhm.
twins, we're the same, but we're so opposite in the way
Yes,
we
so
are in our
different.
environment.
Yeah.
But
Like, and as I got older, it was kind of like, when I was younger, it was like, oh, let's, like, mom, can I go to Yvette's house? And then as I got older, it's so funny because I forgot who I was telling, but, you know, and then as I got older, I'm like, all right, mom, I'm gonna go to Kiki's. And then she'll be like, all right, did you go to Kiki's? And then she's like, I'll be like, yeah. And then Kiki's like already outside the house, and I just tell her like last minute, you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't know, it's good memories.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
That's how
thankful
we're
for
lots
that.
of
time
memories
go.
with the kids.
What I know. How about for you, Jess? I know we kind of go off. And
topic.
for your spiritual journey, when did you realize, like, when did you realize a change in you and your spirit, where you were like, I'm going in the right direction. This is my journey that I'm going on right now.
This is my second journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first time, because I didn't grow up in church, I started going to church on my own as an adult. So when I was like 22, like around 22, I started going to church. And that's when I had left, you know, my daughter's father. And I was just like, you know, I got my own place, you know. And then I was just like I would just cry and let it all out. And I swear that, and then I stopped drinking and everything for 2 years. No guys, no drinking, because I was always smoking and drinking and stuff. And, you know, I stopped all that, and I truly felt happy. Like, I'm trying to reach that level of happiness again. And I feel happy in my journey, but of course it's like this anxiety, and then I'm grieving my father, and it's you know, stuff that's not easy. You know, as you get older, you keep going through stuff. I mean, as young people, they go through stuff too, but I guess what I'm trying to say is as you get older, it's like more and more adding on because you have more time. So you
It's
have
that
time from when you
maturity
were
and that
younger.
realization. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So that's how my spiritual journey has been. So I'm back at it. I'm so happy to be where I am. And, you know, it's not always peaches and cream and butterflies and happiness, but I understand that we have to go through these humps. We have to in order to come out how we want. We have to sacrifice, and we have to, you know, just apply that discipline and increase our faith.
I just want to say, when we get off, make sure you change that alarm battery.
For real.
That's staying like that, okay? It's rocking. It's been like that for like 7 months. I don't even know.
Yeah, the other day,
we're going on the spiritual journey together, okay? This smoke alarm is like, let's push it.
It's hanging on by a
the
thread.
right time when I'm gonna change that battery. When is your time?
It's
Oh my god, that is so funny. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, and I think that if we didn't have it hard, and if it was always all peaches and cream, we wouldn't look for that courage in ourselves, and that, you know, be led by something more powerful or more meaningful, or something that's driving us to do better or be better. And so it is important. And how do you feel about your connections ever since you guys have had these changes in your spiritual journey? How do you feel with the connections that you've made, or from the connections from before? How are they different? Like, let's say friendships, community, whatever comes to your mind. How is it different now than it was before?
Personally, you know, I've always been introverted. Like, I never really had friends growing up. I feel like it's maybe more extroverted and more open to talking to people, and, you know, hi, how are you? You know, sparking up a conversation. You know, which is not something I'm used to, and I'm still like easing my way into that and finding comfort in that. But yeah, I feel like it's maybe more extroverted.
Yeah, and Jasmine's been giving back too. Like,
It makes
You
me
know?
so happy too.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
I know it's like a thing to not tell people, the good things that you do, but it gives me so
Bragging.
much. Yeah. But it's not to like boast or anything. It just gives me so much pleasure to see that. Like the other day, hopefully I don't get off track with this. I
Nope,
met like
go
this
ahead.
homeless man. I was going to BJ's. He's outside. I'm like, hey, like I literally stopped my car mid traffic. The car goes. "Er." I'm like, are you hungry? Like,
The car-
what do you need? Yeah. I'm like, what do you need? He's like, yo, give me anything. I'm cool. Okay, I go in there. I get him something. I come back out. I'm like, here. He's like, oh man, like I really appreciate it. I'm like, yo, what's your name? He tells me, Dave. I'm like, man, Dave, like, like tell me your story. And he's like, like I've been homeless and right now I'm waiting on like a housing voucher and that he doesn't really have anywhere and that his food stamp card is lost. And I'm like, look, man, whenever I see you, I'm like, look, I work here. Feel free to stop by, take a shower. I work these hours, anytime you see me, like I got you. The
That's
other day
awesome,
I seen
Jasmine.
him. Yeah, he's so nice. Anytime I see him, I'm like, I pull down my window. I'm like, yo, Dave, what's up? Like, how are you? He's
I
like,
love
I
it
love him.
because
He's so sweet.
it's the little things that I think that we find pleasure in now, and I think that's a part of being in that spiritual journey is how you impact other people.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's important to me, and that this is like one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this podcast. It's like, how can we make a difference in other people's lives through our stories, challenge them to do different things, challenge them to change their thinking and challenge their thinking, because I think they have to see others in this vulnerable state and like saying things. I know as for you, Jasmine, I've seen people, they're always recording the things that they do, and they want other people to see what good. And in a way, it's not. I don't think everybody is sitting there bragging or gloating about what they're doing for others.
Yeah.
I think it's just more of a show,
I
like,
agree.
hey, do something more for others.
Yeah.
Don't
Kiki,
always.
we were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
And that's part of I think that's part of a spiritual journey when you can. When you can see others as something that gives you pleasure or makes you feel good that you're doing something for them, that's part of our journey. That's part of our journey, and it's I think the most fulfilling part of life for me is how I'm affecting everybody around me. The kids are getting older and they don't need their mom, and I'm like, I think you need your
I
mom.
don't want to think about that. Don't tell me.
I think you need your mom right now. But it's really just me. I think I need my kids.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to do more, and I feel like every day I'm trying to do something more for my family or for people around me. And if I didn't have that, I don't think that I would have a real purpose, and it wouldn't be like the journey for me wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Kiki, you, because we didn't ask you, like, what's your,
And I know
What was the
Jasmine
question?
has to go soon, so
My bad.
like talk about the connections that you've made, and how is it different from before.
Okay, now I remember now.
We'll have to send you a script, girl.
I have to like write it here, have cue cards.
You're like, what's we go on and on and on, but it's okay.
So now as I've gotten older, I mean, it's not like I really have like made new friends. I've had the same friends or whatever since I was little, which it's like 2. But so in the time where I did that, more of that transition back then when I was in my 20s or whatever, there is a lot of people that even until as I got older, I cut out a lot of people, lost a lot of friendships, but I've also gained a lot of clarity, peace, when you take the distractions away and you sit with yourself. That's where the real test is, because if you can't be alone with your thoughts, then like what is it, like why?
I just want to add to
face
that. I just want to add to that really fast. And something that I noticed growing up is that a lot of people are afraid to be alone. Like a lot of people hold on to relationships that have no purpose and have no meaning. Like you're not benefiting anything from that, but they don't know how to work being alone. And and I feel like that's something that has to be taught. You know what I mean?
That's something that has to be practiced, because I have a codependency thing. Like we've ever since you were born, Jasmine, and you know, we've always been together. So even if I did have my own place, and I would, you know, I'm so used to big families, and when I was forced to not, like when my anxieties would be up, I would go to, like, you know, like your dad's house on Baby. I would go over there. Then when I was like forced to, I had to stay home. And I'm like,
it's funny how you were, you know, you're an only child, and you basically, you were injected and brought into this family that you literally, you really are a sister to me and to us, and an aunt. So it doesn't matter how, you know, that you're not blood. You really just, it would not make sense if you were not around. It just would not make sense.
Yes. And like, I don't know, anytime like I refer you or I talk about you to somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, my aunt, and then it's kind of just like, oh, well, not this aunt, the other aunt. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like, yeah, like Yvette said, it's really hard to not see you in our family. It's like,
somebody will say, like, I'll say sister, and they'll be like, oh, from which side? And I'm like, well, she's not my blood.
Sister in Christ. Sister from another mister and another mother. My sister.
Oh man.
No, but it just proves that literally, you know, say blood is thicker than water, but at the end of the day, I have family that I don't talk to, or I can depend on, or I can't call on, or I don't trust. So you guys are my family, and I'm so appreciative for that, because God knows how he does everything. People are there for like a season, but then there's people that are there for life. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade that for anything, because, you know, with stuff that maybe I go through myself, you know, it helps me with my purpose, being there for the kids. I've always been there with the kids. I'm always a kid person. I feel like I will always be, like, I just love family and kids. So that helps me out with my anxieties and my stuff. You know, that could have saved me from myself. I love you guys so much.
I love it too. We're so grateful. I'm thinking back to when, you know, a time, like, if I was to go back to a time, I have a lot of people that I know because I'm a social person, but I don't really have anybody that I can really truly say that is connected to me, like a friend, like a friend from, you know, life, or a spiritual friend or whatever. And the only person that I can really say that is for you, because you're literally like my only friend. And, you know, I'm telling you guys right now, so, but, you know, literally it's like my only friend. And when we weren't talking, I felt like it's almost like I was missing a part of myself, and, you know, and I didn't realize how much I would look to you to make peace with myself, or the things that I was going that were happening in my life. And it's so important to have that one person, at least that one person that can really truly knows you and can help give you some guidance or some clarity. So, you know, and I felt, and I think that I missed you so much during that time. And I realized, I knew, but you know, it wasn't until we finally started talking. But I know, you know, things happen and we all need our time. But I was so thankful when you came back into my picture, because I started feeling that confidence, and that you were always a good person for my spirit and for my belief system, my values. Like, it's like a part missing from you, because you are a sister to me. So, you know, it's like removing a sister. Even Rosanne, but for her it's just different. Rosanne is just really different how she handles things, and that's okay. And I know I'm really strong person to deal with her, because I'm like, well, why don't you do it this way? You know, but then we don't look inward and we're like, oh, you know. Well,
I feel like you're more of a realist, and I feel like she's kind of just living on a fantasy, honestly.
Yeah, she's more passive, because I think she doesn't like conflict, just like Grandpa. I think she has a lot of what Grandpa. I was raised more with Grandma, where Grandma's stubborn. Grandma's more like less trusting, and Grandma's more like, don't mess with me. You know, but like, she's gonna say whatever she's gonna say, you know, and she's not gonna think about anything.
Blunt, very blunt,
extremely blunt, opinionated. And I think I had the best of both worlds with Grandma and Grandpa. But
that's what I was gonna say. Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I feel like the way, like, you say how things are, it's the way you deliver it.
Yeah.
That like,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's a big thing for certain people, because some people come off too strong, but they
Yeah.
say it in a rude way. You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like you said, the best of both worlds.
And yeah, because what I want to say is that what I do appreciate about my friendship with Yvette and my relationship with Yvette is that I don't feel judged. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, yo, what happened? And she'd be like, you little heifer or whatever, you know. But so it's like, we're here, we listen to each other, man. We ain't perfect, and we don't judge each other. We judge each other in a healthy way, like,
Right.
like, no, you're bugging. We're very blunt with each other.
Yeah.
Like, no, do you?
Like, you're honest.
And then it's kind of like a therapy session / sister conversation. So that's what I love, because we've been through stuff. Like, man, Yvette has a lot of testimony, and so it's like, I know that you've been through stuff. I know I can, you know what I mean? Like, you won't be looking at me sideways about stuff or this happened, so that's why I appreciate that you started doing this podcast, so people can feel like they're not alone. A lot of people, they feel guilty about stuff. They don't want to face it. They feel shame, and like, we're here to tell y'all, like, it's no shame. You know what? Just look at yourself, look inwards. Why did I do that? Or why did I say that? Why did I act that way? Why did I react that way? So nobody's perfect, man. We've all done our stuff, and we're always we keep evolving until our physical body dies here on earth. So we're going to keep evolving. We're going to keep going through stuff, and the healthiest thing is to address it, face it, whether it's with somebody, by yourself, alone with God, however, but then you just try to apply and work on it. So I appreciate this friendship.
I was gonna say that a lot of people, I find like a lot of people who judge and kind of like nitpick others, they have some internal work that they have to do, and that's why they go out and judge people. But it's like, nobody's perfect, no, everybody does something that they're not proud of.
And that's what, like, I want people to understand is that, and I want those people here too, those people that are, that come with challenges, or even challenging me, my thinking, I want to be challenged too. It's not like I'm here to bring people to be vulnerable, and it's like, okay, well, my perception of vulnerability is different for everybody. But I think vulnerability at the end of the day is just having a safe space to be able to be yourself. To be open, and that's what I want, and to be able to connect with other people that are feeling the same way, or maybe different, or maybe for you to feel comfortable enough to tell your story. And that's what I want, because at the end of the day, I feel like we only have one life, right? We only have this one life. We live it to our best. And so when we're thinking about all the things that are haunting us, that are worrying us, that are really bringing us down, maybe in a deep depression, we have to identify, what is it? What is really bothering me, and why? And then when we get to that root of the problem, we say, let's let it out. Let's open it up. Let's trust somebody, trust anybody that you feel comfortable with, and just open up, let that burden go, and deal with it, and find a way to really challenge yourself to do something different, to be something different, and change your outlook in life, because that really is, your mindset is going to change the moment that you release those things that are really haunting you or weighing you down. I know. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it for you. I feel it in me. And I know we've all, especially women, that we go through so many things, and men too, because I think for men it's all about expectations in society, and then for women is how we are nurturing, how we take care of our children, how we are in the home, and
I wanted to add to that, because when you were talking about like vulnerability, I feel like being vulnerable is such, how do you say it, an expectation for women, but it's not something that's required by men. Men, it's something like, oh, be tough, cry. And I feel like that's not how it is, because we're all human. Men are supposed to have emotions too. And I feel like that's why a lot of men go through things, like they suffer in silence. And
you're right.
And
it takes people like us.
If we don't face our, if we don't face our issues, our traumas, our demons and stuff like that, it's gonna eat us up and come out in different ways. That's just, it's gonna be, we're gonna self-destruct, so it's very important to face those and go through those motions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna end it with two things. And I'll start with the first one. How do you feel like your spiritual journey has changed your outlook in life?
Kiki first.
My outlook on life, I look at stuff very deeply. Sometimes I even tell myself, like, I wish I could just not feel so much sometimes, because I look too deeply into stuff, and then like everything affects me. Like, I'm like such an empath, and I think I look very deeply into stuff, but then at the same time it's also a blessing, right? Because it kind of helps you kind of like cut off the bullshit before, like early. You know what I mean? Because like your spirit literally won't like it doesn't, I don't feel comfortable, or whatever. So
like that, how you were maybe, let's say, a year ago to now, and and I know your spiritual journey has changed, but how you see life now compared to where you were a year ago.
A year ago, I feel like I'm kind of still in the same mind frame as a year ago, but a few years ago, it was very different. I, especially having, gids, and you teach them to look at people with compassion, so if somebody, like you said, Jazz, like if somebody snaps on you, or misery loves company, right? Something within, they have an internal conflict going on. So I try my best to look at people like with compassion, like, you know what, like go ahead, like you got some work to do. I got nothing to do with that, and that has nothing to do with me. So but I've learned in the past couple years, like, just to have boundaries as well, with people, and to stick by those boundaries. And it really does. And even though it's not easy, at least for a person like me, who's like we were talking about the codependency, and I love to be around people and stuff like that, because, it helps with your anxieties and stuff like that. But that's the surface level. That surface level of calmness, you know what I mean? Like, of peace is not real. So, in the past, I've learned about boundaries, and it's helped me a lot. Get more focused in the, businesses and what you want to do, have your goals and your family,
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, you've definitely grown a lot. So I've been, blessed to have seen the transitions and been a part of it. So I know you can only go up from here.
We all have grown a lot.
How about you, Jasmine? So how do you, compare to how you were before and how you are now? Do you see life differently?
I think I do. I look at life with a more positive outlook. I feel like I was more of a realist, and I always see the negative side of things. Now it's more positive, and it's kind of like, oh, what if this was to happen? And it's
catastrophizing.
And it's more like I would like to say I was more realist, and now it's more, well, let's just give somebody the benefit of the doubt, and if they screw it up, what's gonna happen? If something goes wrong, it's gonna be the way it was before that even happened.
Right.
Yeah. So more positive.
That's a good point.
And Kiki, touching base back to what you said, I wish I was more like that and could cut it out before it even started. And that's the thing that I've dealt with before, and I was kind of just like, okay, like, I kind of let people walk over me, and I wish I was more like, all right, you messed up the first time, okay, like, I'm done with you.
And nobody's perfect, we all have to go through our stuff to learn. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I was born like that or whatever. Just getting better and stronger as as you get older. Like, I don't got time for this.
I think for me, like, I was always very assumptive of people. I always thought I knew what people were thinking, what they were like, okay, by what they showed me. Although I was very forgiving and very trusting of people. Like, I'm a walking contradiction, because I'm serious. I would have so much faith in people and trust in people first, and then they show me, whatever they're going to show me, and then I lose that faith. But at the same time, I would also assume I knew what they were like or what they were thinking, and that was a really big thing for me. And it's like, okay, I knew what it was. You can't tell me anything different. And for me, the change from, like, let's say a year ago has been in not only being more patient with people and being more compassionate with people and where they're at, but also to not assume so much, assume to think that I know, assume to know.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about. You know, with Christianity, we're told not to judge. And I was a big person in, I was big on judging people, but mentally in my mind, I wouldn't say it out loud. Now I've kind of been teaching myself more to, like, if I think of something like that in my mind, it's just, you shouldn't be thinking that way. And I turn it into something positive.
That's good.
And,
so now, to close it off, what is something that has really helped you? Advice is subjective, but what is something that helped you that you would like to tell our listeners to help them on their own spiritual journeys? Maybe a behavior, a thought, mindset change, whatever it is. What would you like to tell people?
Force yourself to do the stuff that's the hardest for you to do, that you know you should do.
Yes.
Force yourself, little by little, force yourself, create those habits. If you're always leaning on, you always have to be with friends, you drink, you smoke, to get away from reality, then cut it out a little bit and just face reality a little bit more. Go through, feel those motions and stuff like that. So whatever is out of your comfort zone,
I like that.
Now work on that.
And that's big. That's big on this podcast. I hate to keep plugging things in here, but this is why we're doing this. Get out of your comfort zone. I'm really big on getting people out of their comfort zone. So you'll see a lot of that.
And it's not an easy journey.
It's really not. We're all still in it. We still have some type of safety blanket somewhere. There's always something in where we depend on. And
that's why they say it has to be God. No matter if you're living outside in the street under a bridge, when you have God, like, that's all you need. And then you meet him halfway, apply, and you persevere.
And it might look different for everybody. It might not be God for someone else, and that's okay. Whatever helps you get out of that mindset where things might seem hopeless, or you're codependent, or you're stuck in your life. Find something that's gonna get you out of it. Whether it's God or religion or community, whatever that may be. Find something to, like you said, force yourself out of it. And that's a really good point. How about you, Jasmine?
Honestly, I feel like finding something that you love. Because for me, before, I feel like I always had a problem with love, or like loving someone. And after I had my son, it was like, I cannot love anything more than I love this person.
Isn't it so like that?
And I'm not condoning having a kid. Only wait till you're ready.
If you're unhappy, have a kid.
You will never know a love like having children and family, but yes, I really definitely agree with that. And that's going to be another episode, but go ahead.
Yeah. I feel like, and whether it be traveling or, a hobby or, a person, in my case, I feel like I'm able to love, like my partner and my son a special kind of way. One, because my son taught me how to love, but also because God loves me so much, I know how to love somebody else. And I feel like that's a big thing for me personally. And I feel like you can ask Manny the same thing. And I feel like I've done like a whole 180 on the whole like love thing. And I feel like I'm so more affectionate. I look on life in such a positive aspect, and I haven't been like that before.
And I can tell. I really can tell, because if there's anyone that came out most like me, it's you. Because I can see a lot of what I am and have been in you, and I noticed the change in you, and I think also seeing you being able to love, and seeing you how you are with Gio and Manny, and it just gives me hope, and it makes me realize that first of all, anyone can change, but this change in you is so powerful, because you think that you're a certain type of way, or like you're a certain way with everybody, and like you can't change, and like you don't feel it, you don't feel love for people like that, and like things are awkward, and like, how do I show this person how I feel? Here you are showing it to your family, which would in another time would be kind of awkward. or
You know,
Mhm.
yeah, and when I was pregnant, I always had the doubt in my mind, like, oh my gosh, what if I'm not gonna be able to, love my kid? Like, what if because I know some moms, they have a disconnect with their child after they give birth, and it just overwhelmed me, and that kind of put me in like a low place too. But it's something that clicks after you
Yeah.
give birth, and it's like I can never ever ever love somebody the way that I love you. Like it's an overwhelming, like it literally feels like fire is what it feels like for me.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
crazy.
proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of us.
Oh, one thing I wanted to add to that is that I literally have one of the best 3 mentors. Not mentors. What's the word? Role models. Like in my life, you, Kiki, and my mom, you, Kiki, and my mom. It's like I've never had a father figure in my life, and it's to be able to have 3 women that were going through similar but different scenarios, to be a mother and a father all in one body, and to pick up the slack or not slack, to pick up both roles is it showed me to be strong but emotional.
It really does take a village.
Yeah, no, for real.
You've been able to see our changes throughout the whole time, like from worst to best, because I know for me, I feel like I was always the worst because I was so strong, like tough, and I was like, I felt like I was like gonna show no emotion, especially in my love life, but that's definitely another episode. But I'm so proud of you. I'm really so proud of you to see the change.
Proud of us all, guys. We've grown so far.
I know.
No one is gonna know our story, I mean, unless they keep hearing the podcast, which you should. There's a lot more, but no one's ever really gonna know what we've gone through and how we've changed and how we've been blessed to see the changes. And that has made an impact on how we've changed, because we can see each other no matter what age or what phase in our lives, and we can see each other and be like, I could be better.
Yeah.
So
but that's the thing, willing to admit that you need to be better. I feel like that's how you start off. That's step one. That's step one.
That's vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's vulnerability. Like letting go of that fear of being judged, being shamed, being
and change too.
Yep. Change is important. We all have to change. If you're not willing to change, then your relationships aren't going to change. Like your environment's not going to change. Your life isn't going to change. Your blessings, if you can call anything a blessing, won't change, because you have to be willing to let go of the things that you've done, the things that you have done wrong, or the people that have wronged you, being able to forgive. So being able
forgive
to
yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people live with so much guilt, and it reminds me of a conversation I had with my dad. And I was like, but he's like, oh, you and your mom, you guys get, and I'm like, no, but do you see how you're speaking to her? Like, so, and then he's like, well, I'm 54. I'm never going to change. That's what he said. And I'm like, okay, change doesn't have to be a bad thing. To grow as a person is nothing, you know what I mean, bad. So a lot of people, they're stuck in their ways because they've been like this for 50 years, whatever, 30 years. So it is, it's nothing easy. But yeah, self-reflect definitely is I feel like that's the first step, because how can you give to others if you yourself are not right? So wherever you go, or whoever you're blessed with, Jazz, I'm proud of the mom you are. Like, Jazz, we're gonna have a baby. I'm like, I can't picture her with a baby.
I was like, she's not gonna be patient. She is not gonna be patient.
I've gotten so much better on my patience, guys. Like I literally, oh my goodness, when I was pregnant, you can literally ask Mandy. I'm like, okay, no, I have to train myself. I will have patience if it's the last thing I do, because I know having a kid is way worse than having a dog. And Blue, you guys already know the story with
She has
Blue.
no patience for her dog.
No patience at all.
But I think just because I'm able to love my son the way that I do, it's like, you know what, you want to burn the house down, go ahead. You know what I mean?
And you're helping him become.
But you know what I mean.
You're gonna help. You're literally raising the next generation, and that's so important. I think so important, and that's why one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast is because we have to catalyze change. you know, we have to be the catalysts in our age group, in our, you know, gender, in our roles, in our generation, whatever it is, we have to be catalysts to change. And sometimes people have to see it to do it, to hear it, to, you know, to just be it, to feel it, to do it. And there's so much more to come. And you guys are basically going to be guests, you know, resident speakers on my podcast, because, you know, it's just natural. Like, family is first. But I'm so proud of you guys. We're going to do a lot of big things, a lot of things coming. So just so you know, I'm not going to be out there on social media going crazy. That's not my thing. My thing is physical, in-person connections whenever we can. If you're in the Houston area, Texas, whatever it is, get ready to join some groups. Next year, we're going to be doing some retreats. We have a lot of fun things going. So like I said, I'm going to have a Facebook group. I'm going to have my social media. Yeah, but Patreon's going to be my main source of information, exclusive content, exclusive events. And we have something really, really, really cool coming for 2024. So be ready for it. And I really appreciate you guys being here.
Hey,
First, and you know, you popped my cherry. So I appreciate you guys. And
I'm a pro at this.
Oh my god.
It's like anything that doesn't go live, and any raw and edited footage, like I said earlier in the podcast, it's gonna be exclusive content. So really, like, I want to have a close circle in my group. So I want to build that community. And if that's you, join it, be a part of it, be yourself, come with your whole self, and be ready to let it go. So I love you guys.
I love you
guys.
Virtual hug from different states. All virtual hugs.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.